Hi everybody, welcome to the Dr. Sue and You show. This is where we talk about your relationships and you. And today is no different. I have a great guest in studio with me, and she is going to talk to us about rewriting your life story. Her name is Dr. Colleen Georges, and I'd like to bring her in right now. Hi, Doctor.
Hi, Doctor. How are you?
How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm really glad to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here, and you wrote this great new book. It is called Rescript the Story You're Telling Yourself. Yes. It is just out.
Yes.
Now, right?
It is out now, yeah.
And where can we get this?
We can get it on Amazon. It's also on barnesandnoble.com. I think it's in a bunch of other places too. We're getting it into the bookstores as we speak.
That's wonderful. And you know what? It's just a great title. Rescript the story you're telling yourself. And isn't that what we want to do? Absolutely. And that we're doing every single day of our lives? We want to rescript and retell our story so we'll feel better about ourselves.
Yes. Because we're sort of narrating all day long, right? We're narrating how we see ourselves, how we see others, how we see situations all day long, moment by moment.
I thought I was the only one that had ruminating thoughts all day.
No, I always say I started off my first chapter about ruminating because I'm an excellent recovering ruminator.
All right, so see, I know, I'm a ruminator too. And I tell myself a lot of times these stories that aren't even true.
Right.
They're not even happening, and I'm telling them to myself about other people. Right. And that's not fair to them either.
Right.
Because I'm making judgments about them. How do I shut that off?
Right. It's funny, because it goes into the idea of relationships. The relationship we have with ourselves obviously impacts the relationship we have with other people.
Yes.
And a big part of what we ruminate about is other people. Like we were chatting about.
Right.
It's the person who hasn't texted you back, since yesterday, or
where are they? They should be texting me back
right
as soon as I send that text, because if they don't, then they're mad at me.
They're mad at me, and I should go back and read my text, because maybe if I had put an extra emoji in there, they would have understood what I meant.
Or I put the wrong emoji in there. But really, the person could just be busy or doing something else, and it's not always about you.
Exactly. We're, I think in many ways, we like to have control, right?
I do. I love having control, but I don't have much of it.
Right.
That's the problem.
Exactly. We don't control other people. There's a lot of things that we have absolutely no control over, and I think that we conjure these things up in an effort to feel like we do, in an effort to feel like if I just change how I say things, or if I just had done this differently, or if I imagine all the awful things that could happen in the future, then I can stop them from happening. And the thing is, you can't rewind the past, and you can't predict the future. So all this awful stuff we do to ourselves is basically just wasted time.
How did you get into this? Did you wake up one day and you said, I want to write a book about rewriting my life?
Not exactly. So, I kind of started my own journey of changing the way I talk to myself, I'll say 20 years ago. When I was in graduate school, I had gotten to a point where I was having panic attacks pretty regularly. And I knew that, I did seek therapy, but I also started to read and just try a lot of different things. And one of the things I started doing was trying to truly reframe the way I was talking to myself. Here I'm sitting in classes learning about reframing your thoughts, and I figured, well, let me try it. And it's one of the many things I think that helped me so much. And so it evolved over the years that whenever I would be working with clients, even in my teaching, when I work with students in the classroom, I always sort of coming back to this idea about what are you saying to yourself?
So then we are what we tell ourselves. And if you're telling yourself, I can't, or I won't have this, guess what? You won't.
Exactly.
But if you tell yourself, I can have this, I want this, you still have to work at it.
Right.
But it's a whole different ballgame, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What is the change in the mindset between thinking negative and thinking positive? What do you do to switch that?
So Rescript is actually an acronym. So each of those 8 letters stand for something.
Tell me.
So the first R stands for release rumination. So
Bye-bye.
bye-bye rumination, right? So and in releasing it, it's acknowledging that it's there, right? So it's not abolishing it, it's releasing it. It's acknowledging that you're gonna have intrusive thoughts, you're gonna have moments where your brain is gonna try to tell you to ruminate.
Yes.
But we have to let go and release that.
How do we do that?
One of the ways that I think is probably some of the simplest things is when you find yourself in a situation where you are in analysis paralysis, right? We're analyzing what people are thinking.
Yes.
We're going back to some awful thing that happened to us and kind of ruminating
right,
and
because we want to figure it out so bad,
Right.
and we get stuck there trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Instead of letting it process through.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the difference I see.
Yeah, I mean, so there's things that we just don't control, and
Yep.
we like to have control, and so these are some of the things you don't get to go back and change the past. You don't get to predict the future.
Right.
So I think one of the simple things I always say is when you find yourself in a state where you're ruminating about something, it's learning to catch it more quickly.
Yes.
Right.
Great tip.
Yeah.
I know that for myself sometimes because I can ruminate because I'm always, that's how my mind thinks. I want to figure things out. But I will sometimes say to myself, stop.
Exactly.
And when you say that to yourself, it interferes with it.
It does.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the words stop, and that's literally one of the things I write about and
I
talk
didn't even
about.
read your book, and I know that. What do you think of me now?
Well, I think that we're both trained psychologists, right? We know we do this work. We work with people
Right.
all the time, and we have to walk the talk.
Yes, we
right?
do. We can do it to ourselves first.
Absolutely. And so saying stop, and I think saying your name is also really important too. Like if you can just sort of, I'll say, stop it, Colleen, we're not doing this.
Right. I love that too. Saying your name with it. It reminds me of my mom saying, stop it, Sue.
Right.
Because it interferes. It stops whatever you're thinking about. So you can do that for yourself.
You can do it for yourself, and you can, I think one of the things it does is it makes you realize that you aren't that thought, right? And that's where the story comes from.
That's right. You're not the thought.
Right.
But why do people believe their thoughts are who they are? This is a challenge for many people.
Yeah.
What I think, I feel, so therefore I am.
Right. Because
Is that true?
What we think becomes what we do, becomes how we live, and it becomes our story.
That's
So,
right.
yeah,
But
it
if
is
you
true.
tell if you tell yourself something else, then can that become your story too?
Absolutely. We may not be able to get rid of negative thinking. I call it an inner antagonist. So the inner antagonist voice may not be something we completely obliterate, but we can quiet it. And I think we quiet it by responding to it differently. If we can, when that voice starts to try to tell you you're not enough, you're not worthy, you're going to mess this up, you always mess this up,
Right.
it's going to go wrong, that person hates you, they don't like you, they think you're stupid, whatever it is it's telling you, we have to respond differently to it. Because when we keep feeding it, by going back and reliving all these awful things that have happened to us, or worrying about what's going to happen in the future, we're feeding, right? And anything we feed grows. And so the story becomes more the same. And so every plot becomes the same problem.
Yeah, somebody told me, I think like a month ago or something, retell yourself something else.
Right.
Because you just learned that the story you were telling yourself wasn't true anyway. Do we often tell ourselves negative things because we don't trust something or somebody?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes it's wrapped up in old stories either about ourselves and things that we've experienced before, that may be in cases about other people that we've had relationships with, friendships with, family relationships, romantic relationships, professional relationships. And, we're projecting something, right?
Yeah.
We're projecting that.
I don't trust you're going to stay because people have left before. But that doesn't mean that person is the same as the other people.
Exactly.
But you're telling yourself that they are, so you may sabotage that relationship.
Right. Yeah, because if we believe it, we begin to do things that are relevant to it. I begin to say things to you that are in line with my belief that you're untrustworthy, or that you don't like me, or that
Right.
you know, don't think I'm a good employee, or whatever it is, you know. So I begin to behave in ways that are correlated with what I believe you think of me. And so then you respond in ways that are correlated with what it is I'm showing you I believe. And then we create
This
the story.
cycle of tragedy.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to go to a short break, and then we will be back with you, Dr. Colleen Georges, positive psychology coach. We're going to talk about what that is when we come back from the break in just a moment.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
Add us on social media to watch bloopers, behind the scenes footage, previews, and more.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rostelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
RVNTV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVNTV shows monthly. We guarantee a great experience that you'll be sharing with everyone you know while increasing your personal and company's brand awareness. But what is your brand? According to Forbes, it's a combination of your logo, your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media, embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply...
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Dr. Sue and You Show. I am joined here today with Dr. Colleen Georges. She's a positive psychology coach and the author of Rescript, the story you're telling yourself. What story are you telling yourself today? Doctor, we tell ourselves a story every day about different things.
We do, all day long, all day long.
Yes.
And it's, you know, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to be able to To change a story isn't something you do in a week. It isn't something you do in 21 days.
Right.
It isn't something you do in 6 months.
It's a lifetime.
You do it every single day for the rest of your life.
Right.
But while that's a lot of work, it's also really empowering because it means that we have so much more power over the lives we live.
And we were talking about this during the commercial break. What is the only thing that we can control in this life?
Ourselves.
That's it. And
That's
sometimes we're not even good at that.
Exactly. Yep. I think we're also sort of caught up in statements that people make like, I lost control, I couldn't help myself, that's just how I am. You know, that's the way it's always been, that's the way my family is, the way it is in my family.
What do you see that as?
I think it's, you know, in part because we see that modeled, we see people say it, we believe it.
Yes.
We say, oh, well, it must be like that. I hear so many people saying
Yeah,
that.
me too.
It must be true. And two, there's a recognition that, you know, if you are to try something different, it might be tough. It might be tough to do that.
It is hard. Change is hard.
Yeah.
Working on yourself is hard. But what are the benefits of re-scripting your life? What are the benefits of telling yourself positive things every day?
I mean, the biggest benefit is that we often feel like, you know, particularly in relationships, let's say, we feel like if somebody does this, then I must do that, right? We get caught up in these sort of cycles. I know this is the work you do.
Yes.
So we repeat patterns.
All the time.
All the time we're repeating these cycles and patterns. So I think one of the greatest benefits is that you don't have to respond to anybody in any particular way. You get to decide how you respond.
Yes.
That's the most empowering thing there is, that what somebody else does doesn't have to make you think, feel, or do anything.
Yeah.
You determine what that is.
But people will say, oh, they wrote me that nasty text. They made me feel so angry, and now I have to respond back. No, you don't.
Right.
What I think people should do, and what I often do too, is if I get something in a text message or somebody says something to me, I will step back and think about it because I want to give a thoughtful response back. I'm in control of how I'm responding.
Exactly.
They don't control how I'm going to respond back.
Exactly.
So that's a choice that I have in terms of control.
I mean, and I think that's the best way to say it, right, is that we disempower ourselves when we continue the cycles, when we believe that we have to behave in a particular kind of way, or I have to feel a particular kind of way because somebody did this or this particular situation happened. We completely remove our power and our control over our lives. We give it to somebody else, or we hand it over to life. This is just the way that it is, and there's nothing I can do about it.
How do we re-script it all? Let's go through it.
Yeah, so
we started with rumination.
We got the,
now what
the
do we
first
got?
star. The second is the E. So it's engage growth goals instead of evading them, right? So when we want to do something, whether it's professional or personal, you know, especially if it's something big and something we've really wanted for a while, it can be like absolutely terrifying. We see that there's this potential long road ahead. There's going to be a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of investment that we need to sink into this goal, whatever it might be. And that can be extremely overwhelming. And so just thinking about it, we say, you know what, let me just avoid this altogether. I think I'm just going to run.
Yes, run. People do that all the time because they don't want to really do the work.
And you know, it's if it ain't, you know, broke, why do I need to fix it?
That's right.
If things are just they're okay, then I could say, well, I could just leave them like that. I don't really need to go back to school.
But what if they could be better?
Or get
What if
the new
they could be
job.
so much better?
And that's it, is being able to, it's not, so many times, I imagine you hear this too, I work with someone who says to me, Colleen, I can't wait till I'm not afraid anymore.
Yes. How about right now?
Good luck with that.
Let's start right now though.
Right? The only way that we stop being afraid is by doing the thing that scares you.
Exactly.
And finding out that you survived, or maybe you even thrived. You don't just magically let go of being afraid and then you can do the thing.
That's right.
You do the thing scared, and then you learn that you didn't need to be scared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the E.
Okay.
The S is seek strengths versus scrutinizing your shortcomings. So,
okay.
you know, I wrote resumes for many years, and one of the things I found is that from, you know, new college graduates all the way up through, you know, C-suite professionals, so many people struggle to think about what they were great at. You know, it was easy to say these are the things that are my weaknesses, but much more difficult to say these are the things I'm really, really good at. These are my strengths. So the importance of owning your strengths and not being afraid to
Yes.
you're not a narcissist because you know what you're good
Right,
at.
or you say, I'm really good at that. That doesn't
Right.
mean you're full of yourself.
Right.
It means you own it and you have self-confidence.
Exactly.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, and there's a difference between walking around and having a huge head and a huge
Yes.
ego, and being a person who just knows what they're good at and thinks about that stuff and uses it intentionally every day to achieve their goals.
Right.
Right. Be aware of what you're great at and use it, you know, to do what you want to
Okay.
do. That's the S. The C is my favorite. Challenge catastrophizing.
Oh, catastrophizing.
That is, of all of the 8,
Yeah.
that is the one I continue to struggle with the most. So it's the one I use on myself most regularly.
Blowing things out of proportion.
Yeah, making something way bigger than it needs to be.
Why do people do that?
Coming back to control.
Yes.
We don't know what's coming. We typically, you know, most human beings don't like ambiguity. Some of us handle it a lot worse than others,
Yes.
right? Those who catastrophize and worry a lot tend to be people who really like to be in control, like to know what's coming, and like to kind of have a plan. And there's just a lot of things that we don't know and we can't predict. So we think that if we can plan out all the ways it'll go wrong, I can stop it from going wrong. But
Yes,
really all we
you
do is
can't.
torture ourselves.
We do.
Yeah.
Trying to stop it.
Exactly.
Okay.
The next R is restrict regret. There's no rewind button. You don't get to go back and undo anything that you said.
Once
or
that
done.
text is sent, it's done.
It's done. So instead of dwelling on why you're awful and all the things you've
Yes.
done wrong, it's being able to say, what do I get out of this experience? What wisdom do I take from this? And is there anything I can do about it now? Is there something I can do? Can I call that person I haven't talked to in 10
Right.
years? Or do I say, I make peace with what happened and I'm going to let that go?
And they are 2 different options.
Exactly, right? So
Yeah.
restricting regret. The I is invite imperfection.
Oh,
Another
that's a
fave.
great one.
Yeah.
Because we all are imperfect.
Exactly.
Even I.
Yes, right. So as much as we want to try to
Yeah.
be perfect, then I think, you know, it's how we wear that perfectionist as a badge of honor. Somebody says to you, you know, Sue, you're a perfectionist, right? And you go, yeah, right. And I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it. You know, it's like, oh, you're such a perfectionist, Colleen, and I feel so proud. But learning that that's not necessarily something to be proud
No,
of.
it's
because
not.
it's very damaging. It means that
Your standard.
are unrealistic, right? There's a difference between high achieving and perfectionist.
Yes.
I think in the book I call them cousins, right?
Great. I'm going to read about that. And then how many? Oh, what is the
2
P?
more.
The P and the T.
The P is pursue passion and purpose instead of, I like alliteration, putting up with passivity, because I see them as opposites. It's, you know, we can just sort of live a life that feels mundane and just passively let things happen
Or
to
we can
us.
follow and do what makes us happy, which makes us more productive.
Right.
And T?
T is think thankfully instead of deprived, right? We can
Always. Be
Yeah.
grateful.
Be grateful.
For everything you have, even though you may not have exactly what you desire, you can still get it. Well, thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming on. You've shared so much great stuff.
Thank you.
You wrote this great book, Rescript, the story you're telling yourself. You can get this on Amazon or barnesandnobles.com. Get it today. I can't wait to go home and read this. And Dr. Colleen, can you tell everyone how to get in touch with you?
So my website is www.colleengeorges.com. It's COLLEENGEORGES.com.
Thank you so much for being on today.
It's great to be here.
Thanks,
you so much.
everybody, joining me for another episode of Dr. Sue and You. We learned something very important today. You can rescript and rewrite your own life. It starts with you. Everything in life starts with us. If we're good to ourselves, if we're positive, then our relationships will grow with others. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.